Welcome to our channel. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Mike with Zippy Snap, and I hope we can craft a kinder, more creative world together. Today we're going to craft this flip joke book with 4 fun jokes like, what do you call cheese that's not yours? Nacho cheese. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these 4 jokes in there, put them on a ring so that you can just flip through them. It's fun. It's an easy craft. So on the difficulty meter, I give this a 2 out of 5. This means that this is a easy craft. You can download this craft template from zippysnap.com, and the tools we're going to be using today are scissors and tape. So with those tools nearby, let's get to crafting. So these are some fun. What's orange? It sounds like a parrot. A carrot. What do you give a scientist with bad breath? Experiments. What is an astronaut's favorite part of a computer? The space bar. And what do you call cheese that's not yours? Nacho cheese. And then, so we have some cut rings to make the rings. It's only 2 pages, so we'll start with the first page. You do have a completion badge you can complete anytime you want in case you have to get rid of your craft. It's just a memento, something you can keep that says, hey, this is something I did, and it's a little bit smaller space than the craft itself. So to start, we're going to just cut the edges here of our craft. There are 2 jokes, so it's important. You'll see there's a thicker white line. We're going to actually cut that here in a second, but it's a little easier for me, and maybe you, to cut just along the outside. You know, a little bit easier to work with. So we'll just cut right down here like that. And you will see there's a thin line right here. That's going to be a fold line. We'll get to that here in a minute, though. So we'll cut this bottom joke out first. And if you have any jokes you have, you can always write your own in there and use this exact same template to add them. These are just some fun jokes. Keep it lighthearted. You know, jokes are a good way to make sure, you can, lighten your spirit, bring a little happiness and joy to others. Now it's important not to, be mean with your jokes. It's easy to be mean and make fun of somebody, but that's not really a fun joke. You want a joke that everybody laughs at, isn't mean, and it's fun. And always remember, if you had a joke said about you, would you like it? That's a good rule of thumb. But just because you like it doesn't mean that someone else might like it. They may not like that joke. But jokes are funny. Make me laugh. Life can be hard sometimes, so it's a little easier to, if you have a joke, it brings a smile to your face, and maybe the face of other people. Alright, so we have our 4 jokes. So before we get into that, we'll go ahead and do these cut rings. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut straight down here. These are, I call them U's, because they all look like U's, don't they? There's 4 U's. They all look like a U. So I'm going to cut all the U's into one spot like that. And then this is our cut ring, or this is our, it's almost like a binder clip, or it's going to hold everything together. So we'll just cut that cut ring like so. And there we go. So let's cut the U's out. So let's get those U's. So I like to do all the same task. It makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to cut the bottoms and the tops. So I don't have to, since there's so many of these, I'm doing what's kind of called an assembly line, where you do the same task over and over again, because if you do it all repetitively, you'll get faster at it. So I've now cut all the U's. I just now have to cut the white space in between. So what I'm going to do, how I like to do this, is I like to cut this side, then come over here to this side and cut that side. And then I can turn those scissors and go like that, because I don't really want to have any white space. And I still have a little white space on that side, so we'll cut that off. So there's one. That's a complete one. So again, I'm going to cut that white space off, and then cut right there, cut right there. If you're having a hard time getting your scissor in this spot, you can fold it over a little bit. If you fold it, sometimes that's a little bit easier for your scissors to get in there, because this is a thin piece, but this piece is very important right here. If you cut this piece, your joke book's going to fall apart. And if your joke book's falling apart, how will you be funny? You'll have to remember all your jokes. I have a joke book at home that I got from an old magazine that made it a book. And that's, maybe it's not that old of a magazine, but it was a magazine they used to publish, and they published jokes, and they made them into a book, and I got some of them. And they're funny. They're funny to read, especially if you're having a hard day. You can read a joke. There we go. All right, so we have all of these. Use, as I call them. So it's important to start with, this is the joke side. That's why it's slightly off center. And then the center side here is the answer, or the question, joke. So the answer, so question, answer, question, answer. So I'm going to make the decision that I want all my jokes to be this way. So I want to be able to read the question, and I want the color side of the U here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first fold this joke like this. And there's a little white line there if you can see it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 2 pieces of tape. And I'm going to put, so the answer side's on the back here. I'm going to put this right about there. That's about center. And I'm going to tape that side down, tape that side down. So that's about where I want it. So you have your joke, and then you'll flip the ring and say, nacho cheese. So now we'll close this up, but this is going to be my template, which means I'm going to use this on all of them, because these all need to be in the same spot, otherwise it won't quite work out right. So we'll put a piece of tape on the end here, just tape that down, and then I'm going to get kind of some small pieces of tape, and I'm going to put a piece of tape right through the center, if I can get it down just like that, and just put it right through that center there, and then I'll put one here at the bottom, just to kind of hold the joke together. So now, since this is my template, I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So since this is the answer side's now over here, I'm going to need to first fold. So we're going to fold it. But before we tape, I got to reopen it back up. So you want to fold it just so you know about where it's lined up to. And then you're going to line this up like this, and then put this piece exactly where that piece is. And again, I'm getting 2 pieces of tape. And it might be easier to do it with one, but you want to line this up with your template piece, which is the first one you did. And once it's lined up, we'll put that piece of tape there. And you see it kind of moved. So we lined it back up, and we'll put that piece of tape there. So now they're about the same, because this has to go through both of them. And if they're in different spots, they'll look a little funny. So now we'll set the template piece back aside, close this joke back up, and put the piece there at the end, put one here in the center, right underneath. And you can tape it in more spots. That's kind of the places I like to tape it. And then I would not use this piece as a template, since it could be slightly off. We want to keep them all as close to the first one we did as possible. So again, we're going to fold, start with a fold. I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of tape, bring the template piece back over here, line those edges up, bring our U, line that up with the other U, tape that one on, tape the other side on, like so. And now we can set the template piece back aside, close this one up, and tape this joke back up. I don't know if you have a favorite joke. Maybe you do. You can always put that on here and make your own. You could also, if you like one of these jokes, you could put that one as your first one. So we'll set that aside, and this is our 4th and our last one. So again, put the question side at the top here. So this is the question side. Open it back up, the answer side's on the back here. Bring in our template one last time, line it up, and get a piece of tape. Bring our last U right there, line the U up, tape it, tape that piece, and I didn't get a good piece of tape on that first one, so I'm going to put another second piece. Set the template aside again, and put some tape on this joke so we can close the joke book. And there we go. This is, all 4 of those are now done. So now you can arrange them any way you want. You just want to make sure that all your questions are on one side and all your answers are on the other side. So since I have my questions this way, You can arrange if you want one of these, like I like the cheese one. Put that right there. And we're going to then slide this colored piece through here and come in and make a circle. So holding that as a circle, and I put it through all 4 of those jokes. This will fit a normal piece of tape, and just put that piece of tape right there. And now you have, what do you call cheese that's not yours? Nacho cheese. What's an astronaut's favorite part of the computer? The space bar. What's orange that sounds like a parrot? A carrot. What do you give a scientist with bad breath? Experiments. So those are fun flip jokes you can use and add your own and make it completely your own craft. Thank you so much for crafting with me today. I hope it brought you joy and helped your creativity grow. Always remember that you matter and you are valued. I look forward to creating our next craft together very soon. Goodbye.